Or maybe turn the TV on and see whether Jim Cantore's standing outside somewhere on the Weather Channel. Where would he be if Jim Cantore was going to be out there tonight? He's got to be in the worst place, right? He's not going to be standing outside a dockside where there's just a couple of flurries. They probably send him up to New England where it's the worst.
Speaking of the worst, this particular person might have some really bad weather to talk about. Tom from Niagara Falls.
Oh, slowly I turn. Let's go up to Niagara Falls. That's of course Buffalo adjacent, and talk to Tom.
That's right. This is. How are you, Tony?
Now, wait a minute, is this the Tom that I know?
I don't think it is. I don't think it's the guy from the radio station that's frequented on the Buffalo media market. But I haven't.
No, Tom's actually a golf pro, who's a friend of mine, and I thought that's the only Tom I know up there in Buffalo.
Oh, cool. Well, hopefully you get to know another one here. But anyway,
you guys laugh at snowstorms that are 6 to 8 inches because you guys got hammered earlier last year, of course, with the early massive snowstorm up there. So big snowstorms, you guys just pretty much say, "Oh, the kids are going to school tomorrow. It's only 2 feet."
Right. I mean, but if you look at it, I was down in the tri-state area, particularly in Sands Point, New York, a few years ago. It wasn't 2006. I believe it was 08 or 09 during Christmas time, during the Christmas blizzard. And I could totally understand why those in transit would freak out, subway, driving, and all that other nature. I saw it for myself. We were back then, my family's out visiting relatives, and looked outside, just started to snow. And then all of a sudden, 28 inches later, Lincoln Tunnel's shut down into New York City. So I could totally understand the gridlock that would occur from that. I don't think there aren't enough snowplows for a city of that magnitude of the population could handle that.
No, you're absolutely right, Tom. We're not making light. I mean, the whole thing about making fun of other people because they don't get it right. Listen, that's the tough science because storms move, and while we have the ways to determine how far away it is and which direction it's moving and all that stuff, it's not an exact science. As good as it is and as better as it's becoming with the technology every day, and the fact that they have to tell people to get ready for something is very important because, as you mentioned, New York City gets hit with 2 feet of snow. That's a big deal. You're talking about millions of people stranded, transportation, trains. I mean, the subways will be able to work, but anything that goes outside, taxis, cars, being able to move in any big city that's not used to getting 2 feet of snow is not a laughing matter. And then people running to stores and all that other stuff. But as I mentioned earlier in the show, the fact that this is happening at night when most people are home and off the road so that the road crews who go out there and have to deal with all this stuff are able to do their work is maybe the blessing in disguise in this whole thing.
Right, and the piggyback, I heard you mention earlier in the broadcast, it's live, I don't know, but regarding the New York State Governor Cuomo, and when we went through, fortunately the Niagara Falls and downtown Buffalo were spared this terrible snowstorm, and those south of it got hammered. And I remember Cuomo trying to put the blame on the drivers for being stranded out there after they were warned. They weren't warned. It was those in the polls and the DOT and everything else. There was a lot of finger pointing. It's just like like a walk the dog kind of like dynamic going on. It wasn't the driver's fault. They were ill-informed because they didn't realize the magnitude of the storm. I had covered a Buffalo Sabres game that night. I had driven down. I was rerouted from the 190 to the 290. I headed into the press area, and I could look past downtown Buffalo, less than a half a mile, and see this wall of clouds and snow. And I'm like, oh, please just don't go north so I can get back home to my kids down in Niagara Falls, New York area. It was just massive. And the governor, just sort of flubbed that whole ordeal. And the Erie County executive, which would be, glorified governor of the county, if you would, to say that in New York State, did an outstanding job sorting that mess out and making sure everything was cleared and all the other stuff. And it was just a remarkable occurrence of weather, and if we had 84 inches of snow in Niagara Falls, I wouldn't know what to do. And those about south of Buffalo had all that snow. It's just, I don't know, man.
No, I hear you, man. It's bad weather is bad weather. Whether it's snow in the Northeast, whether it's hurricanes during the summer season down along the eastern seaboard, all the way down from the Keys in the Caribbean, whether it's hurricanes, whether it's tornadoes in many other parts of the country that are susceptible to tornadoes, it's a serious thing. And people, it's the number one issue for most people is what's the weather going to be, and that's the one thing we worry because we can't do anything. We can't control it. We can't stop it. We know it's coming. We don't know how bad it's going to be, except for tornadoes. You may know that there's tornado conditions, but you never know where it's going to hit. It's weather is something that every human being on the face of the earth is concerned about. No matter where you live, there's some kind of weather that's going to affect your life, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Right, absolutely. I want to briefly touch on Deflategate and the genius PR media relations that ensued afterward in the New England Patriots organization, if possible. I'm just fascinated with this stuff. I have a PR background, and I just saw it was masterful. The extension of time, Tom Brady being volleyed to serve from Belichick after, he claimed that he didn't know what was going on. He had a very calm and unemotional demeanor to him. And then Brady takes it, and then he tries to be as human as possible, and then he sits there for about 2 to 3 minutes too long, and then you're like, man, he better get off. But the PR media guy can't relay that message to him because then that shows something, some sort of guilt. And then Brady sort of, they start hammering him with questions, and he sort of cringes a little bit, and then he exits. And then Saturday comes along, and the genius part, and whether it's guilt or not, Coach Belichick doing the Mr. Wizard's World science experiment, and his brain's a sponge, great coach, all the accolades, whether they did this or not, the cheating or not, post-Spygate. And then he continues his speech. He carries on. He explains everything in detail, and then he almost took on that definition of a coach, as if he were coaching the media. It was just two different opposites there, what he did, and I thought it was fascinating. I thought it was genius, and I thought it even extended that investigation further so that no one would get any sort of, no one would be reprimanded, and he would get his team as a whole to the Super Bowl and then worry about everything after the game. Because,
no doubt about it, but I think the thing on Saturday, I agree with you, but I think what happened on Saturday, all the goodwill and all the people wondering whether or not these guys were just passing the buck and allowing the NFL to do its investigation. What Bill Belichick did on Saturday has opened the floodgates again, not just from the sarcastic media and the haters of the Patriots, but from the scientific community. It's the scientific community that's mocking him, not just the stupid fans or the pundits or the media yahoos.
I thought it was a genius move. I mean, it extended it to Saturday. They flew out today. They're going into Arizona in one piece. If not, they're there already. They had the rally this morning.
No, they're here. They have landed.
Yeah. So I thought it was textbook timing and mapping out. It was borderline Warrior stuff. I mean, it was just fascinating to watch. I stepped outside of the emotions of the fan, and I don't dislike the Patriots. I don't, I'm a Cowboys fan for a lifetime. Yeah, go figure in Buffalo, and I'm a pro Bills guy too. But I just sort of stepped aside and sort of paid attention to everything, every detail. It was just really fascinating. It was really cool too because I knew exactly what the timeline was going. The guy's going to fire a serve over to Brady. Brady's going to take it, then he's going to head out, and then for him to do this incognito on Saturday, that was masterful. Whether
it's going to be fun tomorrow. And we got to run because we're out of time. Well, thank you for checking in tonight. Really appreciate it, man.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's going to do it, Miss Robin. But that's just the start. This is just the start of our Super Bowl week coverage. Super Bowl X-Licks. It's just starting. And we want to thank everybody for participating in that. All of our weather watchers out there, starting with Mr. Luigi Curto in the Brain Center, the Storm Center, the Nerve Center, the Brain Center, the Cat Center on your radio dial. back there at Dockside on the Delaware River, keeping an eye out for the precipitation. Is the heliport there at Penn's Landing, is it covered yet, or is it still? Can you still see asphalt?
Still dry, Tony.
Dry? I mean, it's not snowing?
Nothing.
I think as soon as, I think that we should ask all of our fans to tweet us a continued live photographic update.
Exactly,
of what's
like they do on the local television
yes.
stations. Send me a picture of your car with snow on it.
I'll send you hourly update photos of the heliport.
Exactly. And we have a hummingbird right outside the window here at the Hotel Tony Bruno here in Phoenix, Arizona, in our broadcast center.
Pigeon.
Exactly. No, it's not a frozen pigeon. It's a hummingbird.
It's a real hummingbird.
Meanwhile, I want to thank Luigi. We got to thank Mr. Joe Corrado for giving us the South Jersey perspective. All the people who called in from all over the country. Our good friend Justine Brown. Everybody. Larry, and condolences again.
Prayers and our love to Larry and his family.
And everybody else who participated tonight. We'll be back. Are we doing one tomorrow night, or are we coming back on Wednesday night?
We are coming back on Wednesday so far. We are going to keep it, and it's probably going to be later. It's not going to be the normal 6 to 8. It's probably going to be like an 8 to 10 or something like that. But I will let everybody know.
Don't forget, follow us on Twitter, and we'll get you up to date on that. And on the website, TonyBrunoShow.com, and blogtalkradio.com/Tony Bruno Show is where you can hear it live and call in when we do the broadcast live. In the meantime, be careful out there. Don't drink and drive. Don't text and drive. Don't take selfies and drive. And God bless America, because it's a beautiful country. We'll see you back here on Wednesday night. Good night, everybody.